Here we go. Are you ready for part one of the reading and use of English for certificate FCE? So let's start with part one. This is the multiple choice cloze. We're going to look at the strategy that you need to use to answer these questions. Okay. First of all, quick basic overview questions. Again, how many questions are there? There are 8 questions. How many texts do we need to read? We read one text. How many options can we choose from? You can choose from 4 options, A, B, C, and D. Okay, and how many marks? 8 for this part, 1 for every correct answer. Let's go. This is an example again. Okay, you've got one text, one long text. Okay, so you have gaps in the text, and you need to choose one of the 4 different words that best fit that gap. You're going to have to look at the words before and after. You're going to have to look and understand what type of word you need. We're going to look at the strategies together now. Okay, so some people recommend reading through the passage quickly. I've heard some people say that. Feel free to do that if you want to. But this task is designed to test collocations. Collocations are words that usually go together in a sentence. The relationship they have. Example, we don't say, look me. We say, look at me. At is the collocation we use after look or with look. So, therefore, investing time into understanding the overall meaning of the passage does not add any value or help you need in any way to answer a collocation-based task, which is more localized in sentences, okay, and not the general overall meaning. It's localized in before and after the gap. Maybe one sentence before or after at most, but you don't need to understand the overall meaning, especially if you only have 75 minutes to answer all these questions. Time is valuable. Okay, so let me explain that a little bit better. Okay, so some people say read everything. You can do that if you want. If that helps you, fine. Okay, I say, for example, my opinion is don't. Okay, because what you need to answer here, there is nothing anywhere else that will help you answer that. Only that sentence. Only the information and the context in that sentence will help you. It's a localized collocation-based exam. Okay, so carrying on. Okay, so you will have 4 words to choose from for every question, every gap. Your knowledge of collocations will help you to understand which word best fits in the gap, depending on the words before and after the gap, including the punctuation used. The comma, okay? That's an example of punctuation. At this stage of the course, you should know that you also have to be aware of what type of word you need in the gap. Do you need a noun? Do you need an adjective? Do you need a verb? And so on. Now, we've already learned this, but we're continuing to use these strategies to help us in the different parts of the exam. Different papers. What collocations do we use with these words? Take a few moments, not minutes, to see if you know the collocations used with the 4 options in question 1. So, what do we normally use after instead? Instead, rather, except, sooner, Those are collocations, words that we use together with these words. Okay, let me help you. Okay, so instead of, we normally say instead of. Okay, we normally say rather than. We say except for. We say sooner than. So there might be alternatives to some of these words, but most often than not, we use these words after, instead, rather, except, and sooner. So remember, okay, they don't give you these words. You have to know them. The best way to increase your knowledge and your English database of collocations is to read. It really helps. But I imagine that is not something you want to hear. Now, you want strategies. Let me give you more strategies. So we would say instead of, rather than, except for, sooner than. Okay, so now here we are back here. Now let's look at the sentence in the paragraph. So what I've done, I've written out the first sentence of the paragraph. And what we've done is we looked and we're understanding that we need collocations. Okay, so genealogy is a of history. So this would be the example. Okay, so it concerns family history, comma, than the national or world history studied at school. Okay, so let's look at my observation. And this is how you have to think and approach, how to attack every question. This is the mind you need to have to get the best results. Okay, so let's dissect them. So we have the collocations here. Now we're going to make an educated decision. We can see that the word than is after the gap. Than, gap, than. Okay, that word is there for a reason. It can help us understand which word we need to use. So now that we know, we wrote down the collocations, the word than is there. So instead of, bye-bye. We don't need it. Option C, except for, bye-bye. So with this strategy, in seconds, you have removed two options that you know are going to be wrong. Okay, so that's just because you know the collocations and you looked at the word than after the gap. Important to look at before and after the gap. Okay, so option D. So we're left with than. We've got two options with than, sooner than, rather than. Option D is sooner than and is a possibility, but it is a comparative use for time, and a synonym, for example, would be faster. Are we comparing anything that is faster in time than another? So just look at the sentence. Is there anything related to acceleration, to speed, to anything being faster? Okay, no. You don't have to read all the text, but in the sentence there's nothing. The punctuation, the comma, would not be necessary right before sooner either. We would not add a comma before sooner there. Okay. Lastly, how do we use sooner? We would say that something is sooner than another thing. So is, to be. There is no to be in the sentence of the paragraph before the gap. So something is sooner than. I repeat, something is sooner than. There's no is there. So this option is not possible. Okay, so bye-bye. We have one option left, be, rather than. So obviously it's going to be the correct answer. But let's look and understand why. Option B is rather than, and it is a possibility. Rather than can be used to contrast something previously mentioned. Is there a contrast? Yes, we are contrasting family history with educational history. National world history studied at school. That's educational history. The punctuation also suggests that this option is better. It concerns family history, rather than the national or world history studied at school. So the correct option is B. How did we understand that? We needed to understand what the collocations were, what they are. And through dismissal, we got rid of the ones we knew were wrong until we got to the right option. Sometimes you automatically know the correct answer. If you're confident, great. But if you're not confident and you need a strategy, this is the strategy that you need to apply. Okay, moving on. Practice. Practice makes perfect, people. So now it's your turn to try and answer question 2. Let's look. It doesn't merely involve drawing a family tree. However, tracing your family history can also in learning about your roots and your identity. First, what type of word do we need in the gap? Okay, what do we need there? Noun, adjective, verb, so on. Look at the words before and after the gap. Look at them. Okay, and also look at the collocations you will need after these verbs, after these words. I'm going to give you a few seconds. Okay, I'm going to give you 20 seconds. Okay, friends and family. So in theory, you've identified what kind of word, what type of word you need here. You know what collocations you normally use after these words. You've looked at before and after the gap. Okay, so let's carry on. Okay, so the type of word we need is a verb. Okay, can also learning. Okay, so it's normally placed before a verb or a phrasal verb. Okay, so now also is normally placed before a verb or a phrasal verb. Moving on. A cause of, we normally say cause of something or a cause for something. Okay, and mean, we would say mean something. Mean can be used in a lot of different ways, but mean in learning, we would not say that. Okay, now result in, something results in something. Okay, history can result in learning, and lead to. So these are the collocations. So by knowing our collocations, that is not, and the word is in. Look at that, in. So we need a verb as well to result in something. That would be the correct answer. Okay, and just by understanding what collocations we use with the words, we can automatically straight go to C. The correct answer is C because that word is in. We need a verb. Okay, and they are all verbs, but based on collocations, that is the only correct one, because we would not say cause in, mean in, lead in. We would never say that. Okay, so that is the strategy you need for this part of the reading and use of English. Now we're going to move on to the next part. Hope you're ready. Here we go.